first in person. I do want to thank you guys for joining me on my stupid little adventure that nobody listens to.
Hey,
It's fine.
thank you for honestly just. Oh, Jesus Christ, Bodie, I wasn't done.
This is a fun creating.
Spit it back out. Put it back in the shot.
You don't keep it in your mouth, but
You're supposed to savor it.
oh, you just burnt yourself.
This podcast, like over the course of the pandemic, was basically like the most contact that I probably had with any people outside. No joke, like
Absolutely true.
thing. Like I'm not even gonna lie. Like whatever, people that I text and bullshit like that. But like it was nice.
And you know what? You guys are like my best friends. just drink the shots, fucking boys. Cheers, Marty.
To Marty drinking before all of us.
Fire.
Welcome to Cannonballs, a movie and TV podcast where we review, react, and recap popular movie and TV franchises. I'm Brian Carey, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Aaron Laramie.
In person, baby.
Matt Martirosian.
Ooh-wee!
And Wesley, see you soon, Isaac.
I'll see you right now. Nobody listens to this show, but since we find things funny, I think what we should do with those photos is do like a revisit thing, but we all do like childhood photos like we've been doing the podcast for years. And it's like, remember when you guys took the initial photos for the podcast and it's like all of our baby pictures?
When we did the stormtroopers, all the baby troopers.
So that reminds me to go off on a tangent.
Fantastic.
When I was in high school, and it must have been senior year because it was 2000, probably like 2010, 2011. I was joking around about how funny it would be if I like went through a ton of effort and started photoshopping pictures of Obama into my like childhood photos. So I'm like, just like growing up with Barack, and it's me and like him on like the beach, or like when I was a kid, like little like fucking random photos of me, like
He's like doing the muscle, but it's not even Barack Obama. It's just Barack Obama's face on your dad.
Yeah, what family member did Obama?
Oh no, I was gonna Photoshop him, like,
His entire body.
something of him like running on the beach, but then it's like me on the beach also, and it's him like crudely photoshopped.
It's like him signing a bill, but it's a bottle and Aaron's a baby.
Yes, exactly. See,
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bud.
Wes absolutely gets it. And I'm like,
Before Obama cared.
So I'm like, that would have worked.
it's so funny.
Then we got him another term.
Surprise!
And I'm like, just post it on Facebook and like not be like, oh, it's me with Obama. Like just totally like casually
Hanging out on the
like,
beach.
It's like, hey guys, found this photo dump of like old childhood photos. I should throw them up on Facebook. It's like my kindergarten graduation, and it's Obama like at a podium reading or some shit. It would be so funny.
Why didn't you do it?
Because it was a ton of work. It was a surprising amount of work.
Yeah, you started. It's like the projects that you like do like as a kid like that, and you start in like 10 minutes, and you're like, I don't think so.
I can't get this new Adobe function on here to like,
I'm like, Dad, what's the computer password? He's like, no, dude.
Like photoshopping in Paint is really hard.
That's when Aaron discovered porn.
I was like, I should just masturbate. At 17 years old or whatever. No, it was definitely.
He was 26.
Exactly. This was last year.
Oh, fantastic. What a great show. All right. That was fun. Let's do this again sometime, boys.
Or not.
So we do this show live on Twitch, usually on Sundays, except for when we're in person. Every 6 months we do it.
Except for when we're in person. It's on Sunday when it's not.
Yeah.
So head over to our Twitch, which isn't even named Cannonballs. It's called Carcass Bone.
Just for clarity.
If you want the unedited version of the podcast, if not, you could head over to Spotify, YouTube, other podcast services, and watch Probably a lot cleaner, edited down version of what we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you put Marty in the chat, you get a free carcass. Sent to your
Oh
house.
fuck, Marty sent out free card. Marty, that's
I
your
like Marty talking to the camera. It's very professional.
That's a tough one because a free carcass seems hard to come by.
I know we'll put this on Marty's reel later.
Speaking of reels, check out our Instagram. How about that for a segue, boys?
Oh man, you know what? It's like you got two wheels and one stick. I don't really know how segways really work.
I think that's
Stick? Like,
yeah.
is it called a stick? Handles?
No, it's a segue.
Oh, my mistake. Fantastic.
So how about some news, boys?
Mm.
Oh, I already read some of the news.
I'm not gonna read any of it because I don't want to be.
Yeah,
I want you to tell me. I don't want to get spoiled. You know, like you're my news source.
Did
So-
you guys know James Gandolfini was once paid $3 million to not become the new boss in the office?
I did see that.
I heard
I read that. I thought that was that the Onion?
It was on this great news site called The Onion.
Yeah.
Apparently, HBO offered him $3 million to not take up the role and taint the
Take the
Tony
Sopranos
Soprano
image.
image.
So he has to always be Tony Soprano. Like the dude can't get any
Well,
other
he's
work.
dead, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's slightly typecast. No, but I mean, like, yeah, it's a dead man.
Yeah.
Let's say that he's just like hanging out, trying to like get a new job or something, and you know, like, stupid ass.
Yeah, I'm fucking with it.
Yeah, I don't like it. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I got this gig lined up. I'm poor." And they're like,
And HBO money's running out.
"Yeah." HBO's like, "We already paid you off, dude. So unless you're playing Tony Soprano," he's like, "No, like I'm like a guy who like eats bread. It's a commercial."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Tony Soprano would eat bread."
Not in the bread. Is it garlic bread? Because if it's not, Tony Soprano would. I can imagine like for HBO. I mean, they were riding high on like The Sopranos and The Wire for fucking like a decade.
literally-
Like those were like their two shows, and they're like HBO's really good. Look at these two examples.
Well, I mean, I was gonna go right into that because I was gonna ask, have you ever seen The Wire? Because it's like as hyped up as The Wire is, and you watch, you're like, that's all right. I felt the same way with
Did you not
Sopranos.
like it?
I didn't like
Did you
either
watch?
one.
How much of The Wire did you?
I watched first season.
Oh, okay. Because I've heard that's another like Sopranos, where like first season is like pretty good, but like once you get into like the meat of it, it's like holy shit.
There's too much these days.
I did buy into True Detective season 1 though.
Is that the one
But
with the vampires?
True Detective is a one.
No, it has detectives.
It's True Blood. It's a
Yeah,
vampire
True
show.
Blood.
Yeah.
I've never seen either one, but you said True.
It's got Makabe. He's just going around the town going, all right.
Yeah.
He's not
He's
Second
just
Blood.
drinking a bunch of.
No,
He's drinking a bunch of beers in an interrogation room for like 90% of
Yeah.
that show.
yeah.
No, well, like True Detective is a little different because that is like a one-off season. Like they're
Yes.
sort of an anthology, and that the next season is like different cast, different story.
Like, wait, Matthew
Different
McConaughey
strokes.
turned black and it's Mahershala Ali now?
Yeah, it's like what the fuck
Not
is
how
Vince
that
Vaughn
works.
doing here?
Oh, Vince Vaughn. Poor Vince Vaughn.
His season was the worst by far.
What's Vince Vaughn's best thing?
Probably like Wedding
Wedding
Crashers.
Crashers, absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
like what the fuck was
Or
the movie that-
Dodgeball?
Dodgeball.
Yeah,
I was thinking
Dodgeball's probably
Dodgeball.
up there, yeah.
Wedding Crashers probably is his best, but
Yeah.
Dodgeball is. I mean,
He always plays the same character.
oh, he plays Vince Vaughn.
It's
Except
like-
when he played. Have you seen him in the horror movie?
Where he plays
Oh,
Vince
no.
Vaughn?
Where he plays
He
pretty
gets
much
his soul
Vince-
like taken over by like the killer, right? Or whatever.
It's the chick and Vince Vaughn switch bodies.
Oh,
Yeah,
already.
right.
It's like
so-
Freaky Friday.
But yeah,
murder.
it's like Freaky Friday but murder, but the Vince Vaughn character is ridiculous. What?
It's so close to the
Oh, well,
mic.
Brian said get
It's so
close to the
funny.
mic.
No,
What do you
he's right.
want?
No, it's perfect.
It's just hilarious.
Where do you want me? Is this better?
No, no, right where you were.
Snuggling the mic. It's
I'm like, so
I want
guys,
you to
how do
kiss
you-
the pop filter.
I have felt it touch me in the face a few times, and I'm like maybe
Have
this
you
is too
ever
much.
have you ever watched the Fantasy Footballers show? The
I've seen.
the
You know what it is?
audio guy, Mike Wright, he's like rubbing his cheek against the microphone, and he
That's so weird.
well, they have like $1,000 microphones.
Yeah, they have like insanely nice.
Are they a real podcast?
Yeah, they totally are. They fucking like. Well, they're like a big one where like they go on
Yes,
tour.
There's this podcast where they just do it on the street and interview random people who walk up to each other.
That's
I'd say
kind of
we
awesome.
we steal that idea, but still do our Loki stuff. and
So
we
make
just-
sure you edit this part out where you admit mistakes. So Brian,
Copyright infringement.
edit here.
We ask like a random homeless man. We're like, "Hey, did you see the finale of Loki?"
He's like, no, I'm homeless. Give me money.
Yeah, I'm like, do you want to just watch it?
Watch it on my phone right here.
Exactly.
Live reacts of a homeless man to Loki season.
I got 5G. Seriously.
Ryan with his phone just
With no
showing a
context.
homeless man Loki, and he's like, cool, I'm still homeless.
With
Yeah,
no
you know what
context.
the worst part of that is that would probably work better than our actual podcast. People would be like, man, he showed that homeless guy Loki. You guys see that? It would just go viral, and we're like, we're going to have a real conversation
The
about things that are
homeless man
fun.
cries when he sees Loki.
He goes back every week.
He's touched by Sylvie and Loki's relationship.
A homeless man gets a job after watching Loki season one.
Turns life around after podcast appearance.
Homeless man
We just make him hold the camera.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, news story one.
So I think
Let's get rolling, boys. Let's
So
get
I
rolling.
think was Gandolfini. He was supposed to be the like Will Ferrell or like analogous person, right?
We're going
He's
back.
like the new
Robert
boss.
California.
Yeah, the Robert California kind of. I mean, I can imagine why they're like, "Hey, this is a comedy. You're supposed to be this fucking mobster, like big
for-
dick swinging guy. Like you're not supposed to. You cannot."
They did some calculations where
$3 million is not chump change. Like
I
that was
don't
a
know.
lot of money
That seems like I would not pay you to $3 million
Like-
to not take a job.
to not take a
My
job.
parents like, I just got a job. I'm selling new custodian items. I'd
Well,
be
I'm
like,
like, I got a
yeah,
new
you
job.
can't have it.
I can't do the podcast. It's not like, oh,
Yeah,
we're
why
getting,
are you gonna just shell out some money?
Brian, wait, is this where we negotiate with Brian how much
Our
to stay on the
salaries?
podcast?
Yeah, how much? If I get a real job, which I already have, if I get a second real job, if a real podcast offers me money, how much would you
I'll take
offer? Oh, take it! I love you. That's why you're a good friend.
go ahead, pal. I'm sorry.
yeah, I don't quite get the calculation by HBO because let's say you've never seen The Sopranos.
Yep.
James Gandolfini's the new Michael Scott or fills in, and you're like, oh, that's the guy from
It's
The
a good
Sopranos.
actor. Yeah.
Let's say you like him. Are you not gonna go try to watch The Sopranos?
Yeah,
It wouldn't ruin it for me.
Absolutely.
Like watching people play in those sort of roles where it's more of like a comedy rather than, or even like the reverse, you know, it doesn't ruin it. Like I watched Robin Williams play in roles where he's serious, but I'm not like, oh, when he's funny, it sucks now.
really ruined
Like,
the genie.
yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, that was the guy that had like depression issues in that one movie.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't ruin it for me.
That's why
He's like, I'm gay in the birdcage, and I'm like, well, the genie must be gay. Like, no, dude, it doesn't make a difference. You got to be smart enough that most people know that they're actors.
Yeah, that's why you guys know my favorite Jim Carrey movie is the number 23. or whatever the fuck that stupid movie is.
But fucking Jim, like,
This glass.
fantastic.
That's
That's right. Well, Jim Carrey does Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is a
Eternal
great
Sunshine
film.
is probably the best,
but-
other than maybe than like.
But
Truman.
also, like, he half the time he's like,
Yeah.
and then he does that film where he's like, yeah, I'm a sad guy who I need to find love.
And
And
he's
I'm like,
Eggman and Sonic. I'm like,
I'm like, these are all great. I'm like, what a great actor. We should have him on the show. He's fantastic.
All right, let's move on to news
Yeah,
story
sorry.
number 2.
Oh, news story number 2 looked good.
Don Cheadle nominated for the guest actor in a drama series Emmy for Winter Soldier.
Let Marty read it.
Marty, read the.
It sounded like Marty was having a stroke when he told us about
Don
this.
Cheadle on his Falcon and Winter Soldier Emmy nomination. I don't get it either.
So Don Cheadle nominated for 95 seconds in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I forgot he was in it.
So to be fair, like
To be
I
fair.
think when Anthony Hopkins got the Oscar for Silence of the Lambs for being Hannibal Lecter, he was in the movie for like 4 minutes or so. It was some like crazy like long amount of time. But I don't know if Don Cheadle was putting in a Hannibal Lecter level performance.
Are you saying that Don Cheadle's performance was not Anthony Hopkins as in Silence of the Lambs, as in like critically acclaimed
Well,
film?
and to be
That didn't
fair,
do it for
90
you?
seconds. Even if Hopkins was in, I think he's in in Silence of the Lambs. It's like 7 minutes or something.
It's probably
I mean,
something
still,
like that. That seems
90
accurate.
seconds is not enough. You got to have a cap at like you have to be in the show for 5 minutes because it's a series. It's not like he was in like one episode or each episode for 5 minutes. It's like in this entire
The
series,
very first episode,
he had 8
like
lines
5
of
minutes
dialogue.
in, he had
Yeah.
You know what?
95 seconds.
I would have given him his Emmy if he died.
Well, I do want to read you guys Don Cheadle's tweet. When
Yeah,
he
He's
found
like,
out
I
about
don't
it on
deserve
too.
this. Yeah.
He's like, who am I?
So, thanks, well-wishers.
Ooh.
Fair.
Sorry, haters. Agreed. Emoji of a black man like this, and then ERS. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I'm sure he's like, I've worked so much harder on so many other roles that I wish I got nominations for. This is the one. When I was in fucking Hotel Rwanda or whatever,
Yeah.
that like movie.
Yeah, I
back in
feel
the
like
day
he's
that
done.
you got-
I feel like he's done way better films.
like incredibly-
than
like
90
Leo
seconds.
won for fighting a bear, and he's just like, I was in way better movies.
Yeah,
than
he's
that.
like, you should have given me this shit 20 years ago.
Oh, dude, that's a makeup call.
HBO canceled the Game of Thrones spin-off Flea Bottom,
Really, they didn't want to put on a show called Flea Bottom.
Yeah.
Interesting to me.
which is famously where shit, I'm gonna forget his name. The guy who's Robert Baratheon's bastard and has the bull helmet.
So what's
Yep.
what's confusing to me is like, so HBO is planning on doing like a full blown Game of Thrones like universe, a la like some
They want to Star
DCU or
Wars
like
it,
the Marvel
some
shit, where they're
Marvel.
like, hey, I know that Flea Bottom was a hugely popular set piece in the series, so we're gonna base an entire fucking show about, it's one of those things where like
too much. It's too much.
it's like, if you have good ideas related to Game of Thrones or like that universe, great. Like if you want to do, 1 or 2 spin-off
House of
series,
Dragon?
like,
House of Dragon.
yeah,
Cool.
I'm like down for that, but don't fucking scrape the bottom of the barrel of like, I'm sure Game of Thrones like presents Flea Bottom is gonna, bring in the viewers, when in reality you're like phoning this shit in. That's what makes me a little
How
bit
about you
nervous.
execute the original content?
Well, and two, I would say Game of Thrones shit the bed in the last
They
like,
really
season and a
hate
half.
Ugh.
Either way, not fucking to get into that, but like
Yeah.
that's what makes me a little bit nervous about the Lord of the Rings Amazon series that they're doing, is that like, if that blows up and is this just like phenomenon, Game of Thrones shit where people are watching in bars and screaming, when shit happens and stuff, like if that turns into them adapting random bullshit out of like the Silmarillion or whatever that book is, where it's just like nonsense, like Tolkien wrote this, let's fucking put it to screen, here's
I kinda
$100
like
million.
it.
Like, well, okay.
I kind of want them to go into shit that doesn't make any sense.
It's just one of those things that, like, if an idea is good or has like some weight or value to it, then fine. Like, go for it, put the money, whatever. But don't be like, oh, but Django took a shit and let's make a fucking.
Oh, Django's toilet. You guys aren't gonna watch Django's toilet when it comes out.
Like, Jesus Christ, I don't know. Like, parcel some of that stuff out. Like, you don't need to have a Flea Bottom series. Like,
put it in one of the episodes of
Yeah.
one of the other like real shows
yeah.
that you do.
absolutely.
Do a real show.
I'm not like completely, like anti Flea Bottom. It's just like, is that what you want to like build a series
Put your
around?
fleas where you want.
Yeah. Flea Bottom, Flea Top.
Flea middle, anything. It doesn't matter.
Oh shit.
All right, I'm gonna see whose eyes are ready. So initial thoughts, reactions on the finale. Oh, Marty looks ready.
Too much exposition.
Loki.
Oh man!
Damn, he stole my idea.
Jonathan Majors is a saint, man. That dude's gonna be good. We were talking about
He's
we were
a
talking about
really
James-
good actor.
Yeah, you were talking about James Gandolfini, and like if he was in The Office, like would that make you want to watch The Sopranos? Jonathan Majors, that performance makes you want to watch other Jonathan Majors.
So he's
work.
he's in Lovecraft Country, which
I've
is an
heard that's-
HBO
oh,
series.
The one about the ice cream.
And it's like a Lovecraft.
That's Milkcraft Country, my mistake. Shout out to West Hartford.
It's the one about the cat.
So and Lovecraft Country is good. It's like some like cosmic horror kind of like, there's a story and it's set in like the 50s, but there's also like monsters and weird shit going on that's like, it's sort of that like pseudo history, like it's based in history, but there's other kind of crazy shit going on. And he's the main character
Yeah.
in that. He's sort of like the main through
he
line,
did
and he's
incredible.
good. And I agree. Like his performance was the only reason that monologue wasn't a fucking snore
no,
fest.
no.
Because
For
again,
some
like,
of us.
well, yeah, say literally and
The
figuratively.
West is going last.
Because it had good information. Like, I don't have issue with them explaining, this because he needed to explain it in some capacity because it was a lot of stuff.
It was so random. Like, that's why I didn't think they were gonna do that, because
You needed a 20-minute monologue to explain who he was, what's going on. Like,
3D PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. Like
He's got,
when
action figures fighting.
it's like when you use Ice Cube to explain what sexual like harassment is and all that. He's like, wait, this dude gets off at touching kids. It's like, yeah. So you have to explain everything. If you've only watched Loki, if you only watch Loki, you need to know the entire like MCU so you understand this guy. He's a guy that shows up and like the guy at the end of time. We're like, that's not right. We're
30
close.
movies deep.
Yeah, but if
we needed 20 minutes of exposition for what's about to happen.
no, listen. I mean,
this normally an episode 5 setup, like a second to last.
I agree. For the finale, it felt a little out of place.
Bold and it was quick. I mean, I
enjoyed
it, but I thought, like I said, Jonathan Majors, amazing performance.
He did kill it.
He's
He
gonna
did
be
a good.
It was a good episode. I just thought, like you said, it just seemed rushed.
It was anticlimactic because, like, I was hoping again there was gonna be, and I don't know what the fuck exactly I was expecting, but like there was sort of a climax of the sort of pseudo showdown of Loki and Sylvie that happens. Which, and honestly, I don't know what you have for plot point bullets, but it's Jonathan Majors like conversation fight and then like end of episode basically. But so like
that's it.
That I would argue is sort of the peak of that episode, like the sort of crescendo or whatever. But it's just weird to me that they're like, we're gonna go from and it was even weirder because Majors literally was like, for 90% of it, was the only person talking. Like, it's not even, it was some like engaging back and forth between Loki, Sylvie, and Majors.
Telling
like,
the story.
Talking about whatever. It was Loki like sitting like this angrily. It was just like Tom Hiddleston, because it would cut back to him and he'd be like, well, that's annoying. Or like, he'd have a little like, snide comment or something. But then like,
snap.
It would just keep fucking throwing shit. Like, then it was 5 more minutes of Majors like
it was
explaining
weird
what's
to have
happening.
a character like dominate the scene when Loki's on screen.
I agree. Yeah. It's not like it was out of place, but it was definitely.
I liked it.
I agree with Marty that it was like it was rushed and would have been better served being the end of like the 5th episode maybe, or having it like cut off maybe halfway where he explains like part of it that people will be able to remember, and then gets into a sort of grander explanation that's not such like a large chunk of the episode, because it was even like 10 minutes of them getting into the little castle and there's Miss Minutes and she's like, well, he's waiting to see you, and then it's like them
partial
sort of
credit
like,
on a theory. I think.
them like puttering around in like the castle for 10 minutes, then it's a 20-minute 25-minute conversation, 10-minute fight, episode's done. Like again, it was good, but like for the series finale of,
now.
Sorry, of something that we've been, because there's not a lot.
That's it.
It was definitely for a show who, like, I feel like we've talked about that the pacing is good. Like, the pacing's been pretty snappy for it to grind to such like an aggressive halt, and in the finale, it's a weird choice. But again, they're setting up a movie that comes out in 2 years, so I don't know. Maybe they need to do it right now. I have no idea.
Wes, then I'll go.
Oh, well, it's obviously a setup, which I was happy with, I believe, on the last show that nobody else has watched.
I think I was happy.
I was happy. I just don't think
Tell me more about how
I don't think anybody watches it.
Were you really happy?
But yeah, I think the real issue was they needed 8 episodes for this. I
agree.
If this was 8 episodes, this would be better. When we talked about before, when you had Loki get pruned at the end of the episode, which should have happened either at the beginning of the next one or later on, because you like pruning's a like infinite death thing. You're just, that's it.
Oh well, yeah,
it's
Mobius
definite. You're done.
like, ooh,
And they're like, we're gonna get rid of Owen Wilson, and I was like, damn, they just got rid of Owen Wilson, and they're like, we're gonna get rid of Loki, and I was like,
okay, never mind.
I'm like, well, I just did the math in my head. I was like, wait a minute, if Loki's alive, Mobius is probably
Owen Wilson
alive.
in the credits for the next episode.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Is that the teaser of him riding a jet ski?
Yeah.
But it's not. They needed a few more episodes, but it was good. I mean, I wanted more because I wanted more selfishly, but as I had said previously, I'm fine with it being a setup for a movie.
I mean,
So
like you said,
it's what it is.
What can they do? Like, you can't put as much into a show. But I'm surprised they put as much as they did into the show, but they didn't complete it. So it's like, it's this weird gray area where it's like you did a lot in the show, but you didn't do enough in the show. It's weird.
You did all the work, but you didn't write the answer down.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, you were right there. Your formulas were right,
Yeah.
but like, why didn't you circle an answer? And I forgot. And they're like, yeah, I can't
I like that
really give
analogy.
you credit for this.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. So I watched with my girlfriend Sarah, and she like didn't like. I watched more theory and Easter egg videos minute wise than the actual show. I think.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
by the time this happened, I'm like, oh, King the Conqueror.
Oh, for
this
sure.
is his
It's
very.
guaranteed, you know.
I know exactly what's going on. Sarah's got to figure out who the hell this guy is. I mean, your average viewer's got to figure out who the hell
That is
Jonathan
true.
Majors is.
Yep.
What the whole timeline thing he's talking about. So the exposition, I feel like I was like, oh, this is cool. I know who this is. It's explaining a lot of what I thought. And then I thought about like
Average viewer.
average viewer has no fucking clue.
That's very
He's like, yeah, because there's a bunch of time, and everybody's like, I don't know.
Well,
Who are you?
And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right that not everyone knows that, like, oh, well, he's going to be in fucking Quantumania, the Ant-Man and the Wasp
I
movie.
didn't
Like,
know
Well, that's what
Kang
I'm saying.
before episode 1. But
No,
after,
like,
I've
sure.
watched so many videos.
Absolutely, because
Kang.
yeah.
because we do this podcast, we know what's going on. But
Yeah.
if you're watching that, you're like, oh, it's just some guy, and
Yeah.
he just happens to be the guy who runs the timelines, and you're like, no, it's like he has this big backstory.
Yeah, totally. Like, yeah.
You're like, yeah, I wasn't listening to that part.
they told a little of it.
We were right though. It was not Kang. It was He Who Remains.
Yeah.
Well, so
He
and
who
I-
ReKangs.
that's that's one of the things that I actually thought was interesting.
Who are
is
Kangs.
They
That's the name of
did-
the episode.
yeah, write it down, Brian.
Wait, we say He Who Rekangs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like
Funny
that one,
moments
boys?
and reaction. Shit.
All right, well, thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, that's the show. No, so I do think like I appreciate them again. Like it wasn't just Kang and like they fought or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like they're like, oh well, this will be the king. That's the ultimate sort of king, the conqueror who fight. Like the fact that it was Sylvie killing that variant of Kang was a nice like twist. Like that part surprised me in just the sense that. Like it seemed like that was a really shitty idea, and she's like, "Well, I still got to do it," because he's like, "Oh,
this
don't
is
do
my
it,
life."
don't do it." Yeah, she's like, "You're,
It's
making,
my life.
you're making a big fucking mistake," and she's like, "I don't care."
Like, I'm
gotten
just
to
gonna
this
push you
point.
through this fucking
And
portal.
to be fair,
Good
like
luck, bro.
he did ruin her life. Like he's ruined a lot of lives, but again, it's the whole like, is it for the greater good? Some like socialism shit,
Yeah.
which I think ultimately, he's in the right, but I appreciate that they were still like, yeah, it's this kind of sort of selfish act on her part that's going to have this ripple effect of absolutely obliterating,
the entire timeline.
yeah, the timeline in not creating, but allowing the sort of alternate Kangs. Because again, like you said, there's some Kings that aren't so bad, like him.
Yeah.
But there are some fucking Kings that are,
Conquerors.
masochistic and killers and whatever, and they want to fucking conquer shit. So I again, that's what I learned from his big exposition. But I appreciate like that bit of challenging the expectations a little bit. That hey, it's Kang, but it's not the Kang you think.
It's not the king you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. He waved his hand. Like,
I'm not the king you're looking
Like
for.
that's like a
That's what
callback
it
to something.
You got one more thing before
just-
we
just-
delve into the plot?
Oh no, we can. I mean, I
What
just got a little quick thing. I just feel like piggybacking off Aaron's point.
Exactly. Piggybacking off the
Finishing myself.
Yeah,
Good
it's
job, you
stupid. Just real stupid. A lot of those points I think kind of fell flat in this series.
My
for some-
point?
To me, no, not your
I'm
point.
just-
How dare you? How dare you?
Ryan's
sir?
probably going to cut out all of what Aaron said. I'm just going to reiterate.
the real podcast starts now.
Well, no, just to me, a lot of that stuff, like you were saying, that was like, wow, that's interesting that Sylvie ends up killing him anyway. It fell a little bit flat for me. That's pretty much.
I think it's interesting in the context of
it
like
was
the
good.
grander scheme of things that like she's the sort of nexus event or whatever
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
creates this time. I agree that it lost because of the like crazy slowdown of the exposition, like them fighting and her kind of kicking Loki was like, but then, I agree that her killing him lost the weight that it would have had maybe in like the episode before, or
Yeah, I think
knowing so much.
timing and all that didn't really play out in their favor.
Again, like
where
the
they did it
pacing was
because-
weird for a
yeah.
show that has had like pretty good pacing for throwing a lot of information
They
and
threw
jumping around and all that. You know?
Listen, I love weird shit happening and like, wow, that's surprising. And it
Sure.
was surprising, but it didn't shock me as much as I wanted to be like, oh fuck, like I'm like, she's gonna kill him. And she's like, yeah, well,
yeah.
And I'm like, I was just sitting there like just eating cookies at 3 a.m. Like, yeah.
Well, she's sitting
What
there
else is new?
the whole conversation,
What do
like,
you do, you know?
like fucking
Let's
grumpy
dive
cat.
into the plot.
Yeah, yeah.
We already went through it, I thought.
Aaron did the plot already, so we're
did.
good.
I'm just gonna
You're
like
welcome.
splice Aaron's plot
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, I'm co-host now.
And Easter eggs. So we start watching and we see like the entire sacred timeline being formed.
I appreciated that little.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, a little flashback. We head to this asteroid at the end of the universe and see the Chronopolis, I guess is what it's called. Not important.
Hogwarts, actually.
Yeah, Platform 9 and 69.
And Miss Minutes greets them when they walk in. I knew it.
You know, it's like my theory was right.
Brian's like, nailed it.
As soon as that happened, I'm like, Brian is patting himself so hard.
I was like,
Yeah.
Sarah's like, are you okay? I'm like,
It's like I'm gonna throw my shoulder out, patting myself on the back. So
Making that face, too.
it's like Sylvie during the fucking conversation.
Livid.
Just masochist.
So, Miss Minutes refers to the person in charge as He Who Remains, which is different from Kang in the comics.
one who knocks.
Let's see, did I make notes later or should I talk about him now?
Immortus.
Yeah, so
different
I'll
person
say
as
so.
well.
Kang again has multiple variations even within
None
the
of them
comic
are
books.
He Who Remains, though.
Yeah, that is true. So I do think that's interesting that plays into Kang's like actual comic book origin of like there are multi-dimensional versions, like you said, like Immortus or Kang the Conqueror are like they're the same but different. You know,
Mortis is kind of who we spoke to. The MCU's been like kind of smashing
MCU is
together a
weird.
few
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Make it
there
easier.
was somebody at the
they're
end
doing
of
some shit in
time.
like Harry
For
Potter.
like, for like regular fans. who
Well, it's
don't
like in Harry
you know.
Potter where they like when they made the movies, they're like this person has to do like 10 different things because we don't like have time to have these side characters introduced and be relevant for their like little bit part they play down the line. They're like,
I love shit like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like this guy has like a huge part of it, and he just walks by, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, oh, that was that important guy in the book, but like, it doesn't
in the
matter.
book he does so much, but in the movie they
In the
don't
book, they're
shit ton
best
of
friends, and
Yeah.
like he like takes care of him. And in the movie, you guys just like pats him on the back, like, "It's good to see you again, pal." And that's pretty much it. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're like that guy's actually the hero of the 5th book.
So, yeah, Miss Minutes says, oh, yeah, you're going to meet He Who Remains, but how about we give you your own futures? Loki, you could win the Battle of New York, Infinity Gauntlet, kill Thanos. Sylvie, you could hang out with Loki, I guess.
Sylvie, you could have your family back. You could have a childhood.
That part, like he says that to her, and the fact that again, because I think all she wanted ultimately was her life back, and I do think at a certain point it just be turned into like a revenge tour for her. But a part of me is like, from her perspective, take that fucking deal. Like you see how powerful this guy is. You see that he clearly can affect and control the timeline. Like why not just do like a reset? Like
So like you would go in the Matrix, like they would just plug you in.
no, but
You want to be plugged in.
But
That's what you want.
No, but if I had like some super traumatic event that like ruined my life like early on, and
Like
someone
being
told
unplugged.
me, yeah, like being told the Matrix is fucking real. No, but like, but hypothetically, yeah, dude, those things are gnarly. They pull the whole fucking jack like out of their
It's
head.
like, where did that
10 inches of
I'm like, wow, your spine really survived a lot of trauma right now.
Jesus Christ. How
You're
can
like, all right, bro, we're gonna just disconnect the entire thing from your heart. It's like, whoa!
needle from your spine?
It's like my HDMI cable.
I just-
Whoa.
my picture quality is shit.
The Ethernet disconnected.
Oh, man.
Switching to Wi-Fi.
3.1, right, boys?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, looking back, I don't know. I think that I'd be like, hey, man, if you could do that, like, I've lived this life of trauma that's been miserable. Like, I've been miserable, lonely, like,
Matrix.
since I was a kid. Why don't you fucking, give me a new, like, give me a fresh start. Give me a new opportunity. I think, like, a lot of people would take that. So I do think it's a little selfish on her part to do what she does ultimately and be like, no, I'm not taking that. And I'm also going to, like,
Maybe
throw the universe into chaos.
Maybe she was like a little drunk. It was just like, let's see what happens.
She's tipsy.
Yeah, she's like, let's just see what happens. Like, that would be me. Like, right now, if you were like, Wes, you have any life you want, I'd be like, nah, fucking chaos. Like, let's see what goes on.
chaos.
I'd be like, yeah, I mean,
like watch the world burn.
I could be okay, but like, what if everybody's okay? Let's see what happens. And he'd be like, oh, I'll see you later.
Well, I think Loki explains it later when he says, "Oh, that's the thing.
He's pissed. Yeah, like
Well,
that's what he wants.
You can't trust, and I can't be trusted."
Yeah.
So Sylvie, no matter what, he who remains.
Notes.
I gotta decide what I'm gonna call him. I still haven't. Kang. Just Kang.
I feel like, yeah.
Okay.
So the weird thing.
Okay.
Special Kang.
Okay.
I know.
Oh shit. The weird thing I saw. I've been seeing articles, which this is confusing to me. Like, I feel like he's pretty clearly being played by Jonathan Majors, who's been cast as Kang. Like, it's pretty obvious, even though they never say Kang the Conqueror or any sort of like variation of that he's supposed to be Kang.
There's a thing that he says, like, he's been known as a conqueror.
Well,
He's like playing around with it. He's like, my
so
favorite drink
clearly.
is Tang, and it rhymes with my name.
Yeah.
Like, name doesn't rhyme with Tang, but Tang? And he's like, I didn't say it.
So I've seen articles that are like, he's not really Kang the Conqueror. He's not. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
No,
It's Kang the Conqueror,
it's
bro.
literally Jonathan Majors.
well, yeah. I'm like, if Paul Rudd is playing some random guy, I'm like, he's still Ant-Man. Like, he's clearly fucking whatever.
Yeah, Paul Rudd's playing Kunu in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I'm like,
Yeah.
is that Ant-Man? He's like, yeah, bro.
He gets really
Surf's
small.
up, bro. I'm like, wait till he gets really small and teach you how to surf as an ant.
It was just, I saw like a couple articles that like, oh, everybody thinks it's Kang, but it's not really. I'm like, but he was
Oh,
cast
no,
as Kang the Conqueror. Like,
Yeah, you bring Robert Downey Jr. and you're like, well, that's not Iron Man.
yeah, it's like you can call him
It's like,
Iron Man if you
come
want,
on,
but
bro.
he's cast as Iron Man.
Yeah, get your head out of your ass.
Watch there be a variant. It's Scott Kang. It's Scott Lang.
Seriously.
So they decline this offer. They want to meet He Who Remains.
Of course.
And then they still get the offer, like a better offer later on. Like, all right. We won't put you back. You run the whole shit. I was like, damn. Like, what a deal.
That was a pretty good deal.
Yeah, they're like, take this job. We're gonna give you like 60K. You're like, nah. Like, how about 100K? I'd be like, oh,
Same
all
job,
right.
and you make your own schedule, work on the projects.
Yeah, like, all right, I understand, but you run the company, and I pay you a lot more. I'd be like,
like, no thanks.
okay.
We'll
I'd
get to
rather
that. I did want to
What
just
about murder?
touch on Miss Minutes, Renslayer, Mobius. Just get that out of the way
Oh, sure.
before we talk about everything else.
That was a part of this episode.
Were they in this?
So Miss Minutes is supposed to be pulling up the origin of the TVA for Renslayer. She comes back and she's like, "Oh, I've got these much more helpful files for you." Mobius and Hunter B-15 are trying to reveal the truth to the TVA. Mobius tries to fight Renslayer. Renslayer wins, and then escapes through a portal, and she is off to find some free will. Cliffhanger for her.
It's
We don't
expensive.
see her.
That's Rush. Free will.
All right, so
All right.
Yeah, clip that, Brian.
Elevator comes down. We
Yeah.
see Jonathan Majors. I do this. Sarah's like,
Brian,
Sarah's like, I gotta go out and buy more.
Brian picks up and then racks it.
I don't have enough golden arrows to deal with you. Yeah, that's fair.
So Kang gives his whole story. He was a scientist in the 31st century, discovered the multiverse. They all kind of met each other. We're like, hey, nice job, cool hair.
We
blah,
did
blah,
it. They all high five together.
blah.
And the high five causes a ripple effect that
Yeah.
destroys the entire universe.
Blew
Yeah,
up the timeline.
we understand. We all know what happens.
Some of them not as benevolent, wanted some war. They all didn't trust each other. Multiversal war. So Kang discovers Eliath, this Kang, who eats the matter of the time, and he basically uses it to isolate his timeline, run this whole shit. So he's in charge. No other Kangs, no multiversal war.
Do you think that as a person you would find like some crazy cloud dragon that
You're
eats
like,
matter,
hey,
and you're
come
like,
look for me,
let,
bro.
you're like, let me
They
use this.
lost that over real quick.
Let me use this in a format of a
How
company.
does he control? Yeah, like
Because he has no superpowers, really.
no, he
No,
was-
but
yeah.
like
He was smart.
His only superpower was that he knew what was going to happen, so he was able to like
He's
dodge their
evil
moves.
31st
or, like,
century
whatever.
Tony Stark. dark, really.
Kind of, yeah.
I just don't know.
He's like
how.
Batman, but less like things on his utility belt, you know.
Yeah, he's like Batman, but just more knowledge and less
Yeah.
Alfred.
Not as much Alfred. Yeah.
Alfred.
Less fucking, but more knowledge.
So he's saying he did this to prevent the dangerous versions of himself. So no matter what, one version of him was going to be in charge. He thinks he is the least dangerous evil version.
And they're like,
what
that
they all
doesn't. They're like, that doesn't add up. Kill him.
He's a liar.
So Loki's like, let's hear him out. Let's take over for him. So Jonathan Majors is like, I know everything up until like, oh fuck, right now.
It's like looking at his watch
It's like-
for 1 minute.
He's like, I can predict everything until 5.
Oh no, I lied. I can't.
2.
Drop. He's like, whoa, I didn't know that would drop.
I did think that was pretty funny.
That was
being
good.
Like,
That
I'm
was
so
good.
in control of everything up until, oh fuck.
Oh no.
I can predict the future until 10 seconds ago.
Like signing papers, he's like, oh shit. You see him like he gets a little sweaty. Like,
Like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Time to dance.
So Special K,
Man, what's
he,
Special K up to?
Special K.
he's got an offer. He wants 2 people to take over for him.
He's got an
Because he's tired.
offer you can't refuse.
He's Willy Wonka at this point. He's
That
like,
part was
hey,
a little odd to me that he's like, well, now that you guys are here, I quit.
I don't make chocolate. I make time.
Yeah, I was like, what do you do now though? Like you created this whole thing and you're like, I'll let you 2 random Lokis take it over.
Yeah,
also
right?
now I'm just gonna retire on my private island.
What's
I was like,
trustworthy about a guy who's about to turn over the time variance authority to the 2 gods of mischiefs?
Yeah.
So,
I was very
I'll
confused.
discuss my thought here, and anytime you do time travel in multiverses, it gets wonky. So
I've tried
Willy
to
Wonka.
Willy Wonky. Willy
Old
Wonky.
Willy Wonky.
I've tried to take my head out of
So-
it because it's so like the timeline shit. I'm like I'm a big believer in if
Would
you
you say,
change
like-
something in the past, it's already been changed. The future already looks like it. So I was like, I'm just gonna step back and watch it for fun.
You're
Basically,
like, oh,
he
geez,
needs-
Brian.
Oh jeez.
he needs the multiverse war to happen to be in charge, and him preventing it from happening is probably, I don't know, weakening him, making his Back to the Future Polaroid disappear.
Yeah, but
He's
like,
like looking at this picture of him, kind of like shaking it. He's like, oh, something's wrong.
So
that's not me.
unless there's a multiverse
that
war, he's
Obama?
not in charge. And because he prevented the multiverse war, he's probably losing some sort of power. So
But doesn't
he either
the
needs to be killed,
But doesn't
or...
it happen anyway? Because you know what? I'm not even.
Yeah, exactly.
Let Brian do
That's why. That's why I try not to think about it. I'm like, every time I think about it, I get an instant headache. So yeah, we're good.
So in
So,
his timeline,
it's fine.
it's not happening, which means he could potentially not exist, and it's this whole thing. So it's weird,
Mm.
which is
That's why he lives in Hogwarts.
time is hard. time is hard.
Time is hard.
So Loki and
That's what she
Sylvie fight about it.
Mhm.
Loki's like, "Hey, let's hear him out. Let's take over the TVA." Sylvie's like, "Let's kill this bitch."
Yeah, Loki's like, we have this chance to like rule time.
Yeah.
So he's like, but vengeance.
Yeah.
But family.
Yeah. And Vin Diesel pulls up.
You don't mess with family. if she would have said you don't mess with family and then stab him, I would have catapulted this to my favorite of all TV shows of all time. If they were just like, there's this whole like Vin Diesel
Vin
family.
Diesel just pulls up in a Bronco. They're like,
there's
nothing's bigger than family.
There's this Vin Diesel family thing going on. We're just gonna lean into it with episode 6. I'm like, yes, let's go, you guys.
It's like really bad synced with the lips too. Like they last minute changed.
They're like, guys, go see Fast 9 on, July 25th or whatever.
HBO Max.
They kill them, take over time, and then they go back to the movie theaters to watch Fast 9. They're like, this was a great idea. And that's the entire end of the season. I'd be like, damn, this is my favorite
Can't
thing.
wait for season 2.
That would have worked. It would have worked for like 3% of people watching the show.
Yeah.
And I would have been among them. I would be like, this is the greatest show of all time. But my favorite show.
This is the Gresham
This is
show
the
of all time.
Gresham show of all time.
Last little note here: the Loki and Sylvie fight ends in the kiss we were all waiting for.
Still
Where Loki
Still
kisses
weird.
himself.
As long
As
as
a girl.
as long as she's hypothetical, because we don't know if she's enchantress or what the
incestual.
situation is, but
I
from
think
their
she's a
perspective, it's like
Oh yeah.
It's like if you kiss your sister and like you don't know you're related because you were separated at birth. It's weird, but it's less weird because you don't know. Like the ignorance makes it like more okay for like the people.
Nah.
But if you're fully aware of it, it's fucked up.
It's totally like Luke kissed Leia before they knew they were siblings.
Exactly.
And then it was like,
Then George Lucas was like,
it's not
"We're brothers."
weird. Yes.
George Lucas was like, let's make it
Does
weird.
George Lucas just curate all the videos on Pornhub now as well? He's just like, you know what's hot? Sibling incestual porn.
They're like, that's illegal. He's like, but they're step siblings. You have to say it a certain number of times per minute.
I
It's the
think you do.
stepmom. So
No,
it's
you
fine.
legally do.
Why do you know that?
Worry about it.
Stop asking questions, Wes. Moving on.
Jesus Christ.
So Sylvie stabs Kang, who says, "I'll see you soon," and laughs. He's cool with being
Yeah, he didn't even
stabbed.
care.
He's fine getting stabbed.
Sylvie sends Loki back to the TVA. We see the timeline branching. It's past the point of no return.
There's a bunch of them too.
Yeah, it's literally like the fucking tree of life. I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's like, it starts branching and then branching off.
Do you think that's how it goes in real life? Like right now, I don't drink the rest of this beer, and
So
like
have
I'm
you-
okay, and then I do drink all these beers.
Have you guys heard of like the multiversal? Like, there's a legit physics theory that talks about the multiverse and how like there's a physics theory that basically is every decision that's ever been made in history. There's a
different-
universe
different
where
branches off,
they
absolutely.
make, where you
Yeah.
make one point of that decision and then like the other
Like
points.
right
are,
now, I just backhand Aaron, but in this world, I don't.
But yeah,
there's one that
in
I do,
one
and
of,
you
like,
guys
the
like don't be
infinite
friends with me
universes,
anymore. Because
yeah.
you're like, why did you slap
Yeah,
Aaron
I
in the
think I
face?
subscribe to that.
See,
Yeah.
I don't hate
Yeah.
that. A part of me is like, that's pretty cool.
I smashed the like button
Because,
to that.
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
As someone with depression, it makes me feel better that there are hypothetical versions of me who are doing better.
Yeah, I was gonna go right into that. I was gonna be like, as someone who's like,
At least someone else is another version of me. Is not.
version of
I
yourself.
like to think there's a version of me that's happy. So, I'm like, I'm gonna live on for him.
As one tear rolls down my cheek.
I mean, I don't know how serious you yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
gonna be our viral TikTok, Aaron. Get ready.
Maybe everyone will know. Finally stop bothering me.
You've done it. All these TikTok views still feel the same.
I did it, yeah. Nothing fills the empty void.
I just think about that one version of me
Shit,
that's
yeah,
happy.
that one version who's killing. I'm Jeff Bezos, so that you.
Loki back to the TVA. Mobius and B-15 don't know who he is. There's a Kang
Oh,
statue now. in
that
the
part
TVA.
was a bummer. Yeah, they definitely
That
that happened.
That was the
shit, like that kind of stuff.
I was like,
you know?
seeing Owen Wilson just like go out like that. I'm like,
Who are
I
you?
wanted.
No,
Yeah,
that
It's totally
that
like,
was
oh shit. That to me was that
yeah
like,
the most shocking
the
from the
Twilight
entire.
Zone of
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, like the timeline is fucked up now or like changed in some way.
So,
you
did
know?
you guys all know there was a season 2? I knew.
Yeah,
You told us
think I
last
heard
week,
it.
so thank God.
yes,
All right.
I am aware.
I think I heard that. So.
I have had a couple of beers.
That's a really bad.
All right,
That
Easter
sounds,
eggs.
that sounds excellent.
Eat your egg.
Oh,
Speaking of eggs,
bringing it around.
So there's one Easter egg, and then mostly just metaphors.
The other ones are cracked, but they're so
The other are just metaphors.
Yeah. All 5 of them are
So
correct. Yeah, one
when
good
Jonathan Majors
take the
reveals
5.
himself,
one. The other one's just an IOU.
yeah, just one missing. There's no.
you're gonna crack it in the pan, just like a,
IOU. It's your fucking fortune. It's fortune cookie.
yeah. I was thinking it was a Portuguese.
I love it. I'm all
It's
about
like
it.
if you're lucky number 17, you're getting it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't forget to remember, lucky number 17. You're like, what?
So when Jonathan Majors reveals himself, he is in basically the comic book Kang Immortus costume,
King and Morty.
and Immortus is like the final version of Kang. Who,
God,
He's like the ultimate
He-
sort of version. Yeah, yeah.
that's who we saw was Immortus.
He's Kang in the future or something.
He's the Kang who lived.
Yeah, he's the one who controls the time.
The Kang with the lightning bolt on his head. The Kang who lived.
Yeah.
Morty.
All right, some more Easter eggs. So the timeline was not a line, but a loop around the asteroid.
Yeah, I appreciated that too.
Kang's presentation was a loop or a cycle. Yeah, so timeline being a loop, not a line. I went back to episode 5 with the fisheye lens, how they kind of flip on the golden doors.
Yep.
They're hourglasses.
They are, yeah. Totally.
Little metaphor there.
Yeah, 1 hour each.
Kang was holding an apple while he was calling himself the devil.
Yeah, there is definitely an Adam and Eve thing because you have Loki and Sylvie, Adam and Eve.
Well, and
Who are sibling-esque, I
well,
guess.
and I would say Eve is born of Adam's rib.
Yep.
Is like the biblical.
And yeah, and
Martha,
Sylvie,
popping the
Today's
rib
episode
out.
brought to you by Same.
It's brought to you by private Catholic school.
yeah, don't have sex till you're married.
Yeah. Don't take any.
It's the one who eats
Everyone
the
show
apple,
your chest,
Sylvie's the
fellas.
one who-
Yeah, he's the one who.
he's
Yeah,
the
no,
one
you're
who
absolutely
kills
right.
the snake.
And we're all virgins.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all virgin.
Welcome to Virgin Balls.
The whole castle, the whole what do they call it, Chronopolis,
Hogwarts.
is a lot like the Japanese art kintsugi, which is
I knew that
repairing cracks and damage with gold. So little gold.
There were
filling in the
totally-
cracks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gold Team rules.
Yeah, gold team does rule. So predictions. So just to set up what anyone wants to rant about. So season 2 of Loki, probably between Ant-Man 3, where Kang is the bad guy,
Makes sense.
and Doctor Strange 2, where Loki has been casted. Tom Hiddleston has been casted. Now, my big theory, well, not a big theory, it's pretty obvious. A different Kang won Multiversal War 2.0, which is why he's got the statue.
Yep.
My big theory is Renslayer went back, and that was her free will.
To make him
Is
win.
She found her Kang, and she is running it.
She found a king that
A
was
king.
like the
Well, her
more
king.
malevolent, evil.
I understand.
Yeah, I like that. Because she does fuck. I mean, you're right. She fucks him in the comics.
Yeah, I just don't understand why she would pick one
She's
that's
so horny for King.
Yeah.
Horny for
Yeah, realistically, I guess we're going with it is why is she so horny for Kang? Because you could pick like a nice Kang that like takes care of
Jonathan
people.
made that one right there.
But
was
like
pretty
so
chill
she
for the
picks like a like crazy murderous Kang.
Mhm.
With her free will pass. She got like the Rush free will pass and she's going to see Rush 40 with just Geddy Lee because everybody else is dead. Well, Alex Lifeson's alive, but
I was disappointed with the Renslayer plot. I'm like you said, there's so
I
much
agree.
connection between
there was
her and
well, there
Kang.
was so much more you could do with it, and
Yeah.
they were just like,
Well, the whole thing was like, oh, why did you take me from my Nexus event? Like Sylvia and Renslayer just like laughed or was like,
you know, she's like, I hate schools. I want to fuck this
Yeah,
guy
like-
named Kang.
Like, yeah, what was your thing? Why are you the way you are? Like, I didn't get it.
Why are you the way Toby?
Yeah.
Why are you the way you are?
I hate everything that you choose to be.
You know, like Toby's great, but sometimes he's a little.
So-
Yeah, you know.
Alright, so Kang.
Welcome to Office Balls.
You guys may have already researched this, but he is a descendant of Mr. Fantastic. He is
Super
Yeah,
fantastic.
I did hear
I'm
about
like
that.
personally
Richards,
aware. I
right?
didn't like. Yeah,
he is
Reed
a
Richards.
Reed Richards descendant, but it's the 31st century, so 1,000 years later. Like
It's been a while.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
Reed Richards,
been a while.
but he still has the
Since I
Richards last
was-
name. He's Nathaniel Richards.
I don't think.
Richards. It's been a while since I was fantastic.
I wanted to keep going with stretchy arms or something like that, but I was just gonna.
So Kang is a scientist in the 31st century. He discovers multiverse and other
Yeah.
technology. Some of him go back in time and are evil. Some of him run the TVA.
Well, and there's
Some of them run a company.
there's a multiversal like Reed Richards who's evil
hmm
and is like a super power. Like he's like a they call him like Omega level, not like mutants, but like a super powerful like a Kang the Conqueror, where he's like a multiversal character. I forget what he's called, but there is like a version of Reed Richards where like shit went wrong in that timeline or whatever, and he becomes super evil and like. Because he's crazy smart and also has his like stretchy powers and whatever is like Dr. Doom like level threat of just like he fucks up not just like the earth or whatever but like the universe. I forget, he's got some like the destroyer or some stupid shit name
He
like
knows
that,
how to
but,
read.
he does know how to read.
Yes.
Reed Richards.
So that's what I call him. Reed.
Like, what's he good at?
So final thoughts. Loki season 1
Tricky
as a
dick.
whole. We kind of touched a lot on our initial thoughts,
Preparation
I think,
H feels good on the whole.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I thought it was very good, and I thought the introduction to the Kang Conqueror was awesome.
Is that
Mhm.
how-
And-
I'm happy they
But
did that.
I thought the endings of like WandaVision and Captain America were more, or Captain Falcon were more fulfilling. Like,
Well, he is Captain.
I got more out of the
Captain
endings.
America.
I didn't think the ending for Loki was anything special, but I thought it was a great setup for what we
I
got.
agree.
Yep,
it was,
absolutely.
It was more of a tool to.
Yeah,
the thing that-
exactly. It connected more.
It's a means to an end.
MCU.
Yes.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So, I thought it was good.
It means to many ends.
A
See,
means
it
to
was
an
Very
end.
long prologue to
Yeah, I
Doctor
think
Strange
of the
and-
I agree.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
Ant-Man and the
absolutely.
Wasp. Well, and that's why I think we all talked about why we didn't think that King
and Spider-Man maybe
might
Right,
be the
does.
person. Yeah, well, and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm really
He must
interested.
agree.
Honestly, of any of those movies, I'm the most
He must
interested to
agree.
see of the like Far From Home or whatever.
Oh, it's
shit.
no way. It's no way home all day.
Is it No Way Home?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I just mean that movie.
No,
Like,
yeah,
that's
you're right.
Are we getting Tobey Maguire?
We're getting Toby,
they
we're getting
casted
Andrew Garfield.
fucking
we're getting them all.
Alfred
And if we don't,
Molina
I'll
is
just
the
jump
Doc
off.
Ock again, like from the second
Yeah.
Spider. I mean, they're making a point to
Yep,
be
Jamie
like,
Foxx.
yeah, it's literally Jamie Foxx from the Amazing Spider-Man, which
Yeah.
like they're hinting because they're pulling from each of the variations of Spider. They're like, oh, well, we want Electro from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and we want Alfred Molina.
Get
as
ready,
Doc Ock
get
from-
ready. This is gonna be crazy. And
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute, are these from all the different universes? And like, yeah, something's gonna happen. You're like,
All
based
because
on
of this.
what?
All because of this Lady Loki.
Yeah, god damn it.
So I'm definitely I liked this series better than I liked WandaVision.
Yeah.
I think looking back now with like looking at sort of the whole thing, I agree that the ending fell more flat for me than like WandaVision did. Just because again, it's like we said, it's kind of a means to an end. But I appreciate them because I think we deep down, if you asked me, 3 months ago of like, what do I think kind of the show Loki will be in the cog of like the greater sort of Marvel timeline, like I thought it would be a part of it, but it seems to be the catalyst for like almost everything that's happening from now on, which I think it's pretty cool that they're not like pulling punches or anything about having it be like what people think, because
No, this is it. This is it.
And
This
with,
is
with
you
Kang,
did-
I think there was like a Mephisto moment where people are like,
Sure.
"Oh, is it going to be Mephisto?" Like,
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Like, is it going to be Kang? And they're like, "No,
But
it is
we
Kang."
dipped quite a bit on Kang and then just had the little dip where I was like 6%.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, you did.
I was always pro Kang just because I liked the idea of having it be the cog that it ended up being. But yeah, I was happy, and I'm much more excited for season 2 because I feel like there'll be less of a we have to introduce Kang because he has implications for the 10 movies and 5 series that follow this. But I liked it overall. It was definitely not like, oh my god, 10 out of 10, like can't wait for the next thing. It was more, I would say like an 8 or an 8.5 for me. Like it was good. It was very solid. Like Tom Hiddleston's acting was quite good.
Yep.
I definitely feel like you could see that.
I didn't even know who Jonathan Majors was.
Well,
but I'm
and,
like,
and Majors
this guy.
is good as well.
He did great.
I want to watch everything, John.
He had a little like kind of Joker, like
Yeah.
just off
Yeah,
off
absolutely.
like kilter shit about him. Which he is a good actor, and
I hope his
Lovecraft Country
because this is a
cool.
variant of the Kang we're probably going to see. I hope his
If he's got that
Kang
same
is
personality,
Well,
that kind of-
honestly, I would rather he doesn't have the same like sort of way that he acts, but it's just
it's
obviously,
like a
obviously it's
slight
gonna be him.
variant of it.
I mean, obviously he's gonna play the role, but
no,
they just picked
it's
something
actually
really
not
different.
Kang like those articles or something.
It's Idris Elba. But like when he
Here's
comes
why it's
back,
not Kang.
and
It's a Mortis. I'm like, that's
yeah,
Kang.
no, I like to see him like play that same like you said that same sort of role, but he changes it up and is like the version that we're supposed to get now, which we've seen, is more brutal, more I'm going to take over, more that kind of.
They could take that unhinged like Joker aspect of him and make
But
it
like they
scary.
turn it. I wanna-
Like,
I
make
wanna-
it
but I
scary.
like- so he
you know?
he shows up and he's like, "Hey guys, you guys like want to take over the TVA?" But I'm gonna show up and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna fuck you guys up."
Time
Like,
to die.
I want it to be
Like-
like same sort of attitude, but completely different message.
Yeah,
which would be amazing. That's
Sure.
exactly what I want from that. is that
I
he
think you'll
brings
be-
that same energy.
I think you'll end up being happy.
And I know, I think so
I
too.
hope.
I think that's the way to go with it, and that's that's great acting.
Anyone have a sign off?
I could do a sign off.
Oh yeah. Aaron's over.
Aaron has no sign up in years.
Does anyone want to do the honors of setting Aaron up, or Wes does?
Woo-hoo! And as we always say on Cannonballs podcast, Aaron.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fire.